there's so many different things that are happening with shoes these
Hmm.
days. I think people are quick to try different shoes, and it all of a sudden affects a strike pattern or a mechanical type
Mm.
thing that with running, it's so repetitive that that build up and load just tends to irritate the shin. So I think I see a lot of shin type issues at the moment.
Hello, hello. This is Lisa Nelson, host of Fuel Your Finish podcast. I am a registered dietitian, four-time Boston marathoner, and I help runners feel, perform, and show up as their best. And today I have a really great guest. I have RT from the Stride Shop. He's a physical therapist and run coach, and he specializes in working with runners. And so we're diving into the things that runners are constantly dealing with, injuries, and what's actually causing them, and what you can start doing right now to fix and prevent them. Honestly, what most runners are getting wrong. So this is going to be super practical and a really great conversation. So let's get into it. All right, RT, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited.
Absolutely. What's been going on in your life lately with training, racing, life in general, all the things?
I would say I'll kick it off with more so life in general. My baby girl turned 1 this past week, so more than I am wrangling a 4-year-old and a now 1-year-old, and just treading water. To be honest with you,
Absolutely.
there.
Oh, that is so much fun.
Training wise, running wise, we actually just finished the mountain relay out in North Carolina, which was an absolutely amazing experience. Similar to like a hood to coast kind of thing, where it's a 12-person relay team, pass the baton, and spend 30 hours in a van with 5 people that haven't showered. That kind of fun. Um,
Oh my
so that's
gosh,
what's going
that's
on with me as
so
far
much
as
fun.
fun things. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Tell me more about the race. How did it go?
It went well. It's one of those things where you're always kind of adjusting on the fly. It was really remote, so all of that relying that we do on GPS and technology was out of the window. So considering we didn't get lost too many times, the van took
Awesome.
about a half-hour detour at one point, and which was all along like the Blue Ridge Parkway is beautiful. And so pleasant mistake there. And then we had one runner that he uh he was going at night, and one of the blinking lights that tells you, hey, make a turn here, had run out of a battery life, we suppose. And he just blew fat past it and didn't hit it. And so he was on a
Oh no.
6 mile leg, cruising, I mean absolutely moving, and went past it by about 2.5 miles before he was looking at his watch. He's like, I'm supposed to be getting close to done,
Oh
and managed to pull up an
no.
offline map and realized he'd run he'd run about 2.5 miles downhill, and so he had to turn around 2.5 miles uphill and then meet up. So
Oh.
we lost about, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes there. But it was one of those things where he was running so quick that we were just like, man, he seems kind of behind. But then when he showed up, we were like, oh, you just, what happened? He's like, my 6.5 mile run turned into 11 and a half or 12, something like that. But past that,
Oh my
everything was
goodness.
great. Everyone got along despite the mental and physical fatigue that was happening. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love those. Those are the best memories. And the getting lost or whatever mishaps make the best stories.
Alexander, recommend it. It was great.
Love that. Cool. Okay. So let's get into a little bit of your story. So give us the quick version. Like, how did you get into running and then into PT and coaching? What made you want to work specifically with runners? Just tell us kind of a little bit about all that.
Yeah, sure. So I got into PT because my high school baseball coach was a physical therapist, and I was one of those kids that I hit a quick growth spurt, bones grew really well, the muscles didn't keep up, so I started pulling hamstrings and having injuries that I would go to see my baseball coach slash PT, and it'd be in the afternoon he'd have me doing drills in this clinic while he's drinking a cup of coffee, and I was like, well, this job seems easy. I'll just go and and do that. And so I went to LSU for undergrad. I graduated PC school in New Orleans in 2012, and then did at that point you can kind of specialize. Do you want to be a neuro PT or an ortho PT or sports, that kind of thing? And I went on an ortho route and did a residency in Dallas. I moved back to New Orleans. My wife is from here. We kind of set up camp here at this point, and so I worked in your traditional outpatient PT clinic for a couple of years, did some travel PT, similar to like a travel nursing that was really popular during COVID and is really still popular now. And when we finally moved back, I tagged on with a baseball pitching academy on the North Shore called Top Velocity, where we were working with athletes from high school up to professional level to try and improve
Cool.
pitching mechanics and power and those kind of things. And I was there for 2.5 years, but was doing some contract work with Ochsner's Sports Medicine Clinic, which is where I met Niraj, who is my partner in the Stride Shop. And in 2019, he was looking to get into something. I kind of have this personality of let's try something new. Yeah, you can talk me into it pretty easily. And he had a history of coaching and running long marathons and running long races and things like that. I grew up playing soccer and baseball. That was not my realm. It was, baseball was kind of my thing. And
Okay.
and so I was just like, you know what, man? Yeah, I'll get into it. I love the mechanics part of it. I understood the philosophy and the know-how of it. And so we started the Stride Shop in 2019. And at that point, I was like, well, if our niche is runners, that's what I'm going to get into. Niraj already had a little bit. That's when I kind of dove off the cliff and went headfirst into it. And it was more so a matter of I didn't want to be a hypocrite for
Of
the
course.
treating these people and training these people. And so I just dove into it and developed kind of a passion for it and a love for it. And when that's 90% of your patient population for 6 years at this point, it's that's the world that I live in, and I've kind of entrenched myself in that community, which is wonderful because New Orleans is rich with people who gather together and support one another when it comes to running and doing things like that. So I signed up for long races and got into the game. That's kind of
Love
the
it.
quick
That's
version of it.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great. I love it so much. And I will agree with you that New Orleans has so much great culture, and I love the running community and just how much fun that is. So that's great. Thanks for sharing.
for sure.
Cool. So, and so kind of to get into the whole, nitty gritty of it, what are the most common injuries that you see in runners right now?
Um, I mean, it varies, right? I think because there's so many things that you can say involves the knee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So someone will come in most frequently and say, "Hey, started running, maybe it's a change in volume or a change in intensity or a change in hills, and my knee started acting up on me," right? That could be an IT band thing, it could be a
Mm-hmm.
patellar tendon kind of things. There's just so many things that are happening around the knee that's probably the most
Mm-hmm.
frequent one that I hear.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm in a string of people coming in with shin splints, right? Is that, hey, I think I have shin
Mm.
splints going on, in which case, again, training load is a big thing there. There's so many different things that are happening with shoes these
Mm-hmm.
days. I think people are quick to try different shoes and it all of a sudden affects a strike pattern or a mechanical type
Mm.
thing that with running, it's so repetitive that build up and load just tends to irritate the shin. So I think I see a lot of shin type issues at the moment. The way that I look at it when someone comes in is the first thing I'm differentiating is, do I think I'm dealing with soft tissue or do I think I'm dealing with bone? Because the way that you
Mm-hmm.
rehab them, the way you train someone with that is two entirely different types of things. And so that's the main thing that I look for when someone comes in is, do I think you have a soft tissue injury or do I need to make sure that you're not having a bone stress injury? Because I would say
Mm-hmm.
that's probably the most frequently missed and overlooked thing from the physical therapy side of things. I can't tell you how many bone stress reactions, possible stress fractures that I missed before I started really focusing in on runners and the types of injuries that they have.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of bone stuff is going to sideline you for a lot longer than a soft tissue injury. Am I right?
Yeah, it is. And especially depending on the location, right? There's some spots that aren't as much of a red flag, but if someone comes into me and it says, "Hey, I've recently gotten into running. I've been trying to run every day for the past couple months, but it's started to get to where my hips bother me. Just walking now wakes me up at night, going up and down stairs." I may give you a set of crutches right there and say, I'm
Hmm.
going to call a doc. I want you to go get an MRI because if you have a femoral neck stress fracture or something like that that doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
a good blood supply, you run the risk of having to have a hip replacement in your,
Mm.
your 20s or your 30s because that bone just it doesn't get the blood supply it needs, and you have this necrosis type of thing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just become very, very, very apparent in my eyes how serious we need to take bone stress injuries and not just be
Mm-hmm.
like, take a little bit off and see how it feels. Like you have to give it the respect. You have to respect the biology and the healing time frames of the body for those types of things. And with bone, sometimes depending on the location, yeah, you just have to offload it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Mm-hmm.
soft tissue, right on the other hand of it, that tissue, it's finding the balancing act of, okay, how do we stress this enough to keep it within its capacity and its resiliency to not get overloaded, but to send a signal to the body of,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I need this zone of tissue to heal and to get more resilient, to get more robust.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you build that up. That's how it gets healthy
Yeah.
and then sets you up for success moving down the road so that it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
happen again. Right. And so two separate mindsets and approaches to those things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it sounds like from the since we work with a lot of the same clients, I with nutrition and you with the physical therapy, it sounds like from what I've heard both from
Yeah.
runners that I've worked with and just runners that I've ran with, that you don't make people commit to more than they need to do, but you don't miss things. Like you are very you help people run as much as they possibly can, but you're also very careful in making sure that they're not overdoing it to make sure that you protect against any injury. So it sounds like that's something that you do really amazingly well. So I know that you're very trusted in
Yeah.
that.
I appreciate saying that. Yeah, I appreciate that. I try to, right? I try to not take people off the run because it's the number one thing with first question you're going to get from a runner that comes into a doctor's office or a PT clinic is, Can I keep running? Can I still run? When can I run again?" Those kind of
Mm-hmm.
things. And and a lot of times the answer is not just stop, you know. It's how do we change either training load or intensity, things like that. There's
Mm-hmm.
variability and flexibility with that, but I am trying to get the reputation of if RT Hill at the Stride Shop tells you to to stop running, you
Mm-hmm.
probably need to not be running in this moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've worked through that because it is I'm s- the the main goal of what I'm trying to do with the PT practice, and we're geared at runners, absolutely. That's where the marketing and stuff goes to. But if someone says, "Hey, what do you do?" Like I try to tell you, I want to help people make stories. I want
Mm-hmm.
Lisa Nelson to, in her 70s and 80s, still be running, marathons and going on long and exciting
Mm-hmm.
hikes and spending time with your kids, doing the things that you want to do. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that starts at a much younger age. And so my job
Yeah.
is to help set up one, protect you from making a poor decision when there's so much more opportunity later down the line, but sometimes we get tunnel vision of, hey, I need to get back on the road right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's probably what I combat a lot, people a lot with runners with, because we do tend to have that mindset of, I'm just going to go test it. Let me get out there and test it. And I think there's probably just a better protocol that you need to be able to accomplish some things
Mm-hmm.
before just going and running so that you can be
Yeah.
that 80-year-old
Yeah.
year old Lisa that's still knocking out Boston marathons.
Right. Isn't that what we all want? Is to be able to run as long as possible.
Yeah. And that's what you want to do. And I treat runners, and it's other things, right? It's people who want to be able to, I'd like to be able to pick up my grandkids when I'm younger. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be able to go on long hikes and things like that. And so I try to meet people where they're at on that. And and go into it with the mindset of, hey, this is our goal of where you want to be. And I think that just helps get buy-in from that person when they realize, hey, I have their best interest in heart for the long-term plan. Yeah. So the goal, it's different for different people, right? Maybe it's picking up a kid. Maybe it's, I would continue to be able to walk 5 blocks to get my groceries. I want to be able to ride a bike later in
Mm-hmm.
life. I want to be able to continue to go
Mm-hmm.
on hikes. I have a patient right now in his 70s is about to go and hike the Grand Canyon, right? Like
Oh, that's
when I say I
awesome.
want to help people create stories, like that's the kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
that he's going to do this thing with his son. First time his son's going out there and they're kind of going and do it together, right? It's just cool things like that
Mm-hmm.
that I want people to be able to continue to do and to tell.
Absolutely. I love that so much. Is there anything better than helping people be stronger and more able to accomplish their goals? Right?
No, it's so fantastic and it's so rewarding. And I would say it's honestly what probably kept me in the physical therapy profession was starting the stride shop, because once we set it up in this manner where I'm able to see people one on one and I have time to listen to them and talk to them and hear what their real goals are and what their lives are about, um, it started creating more of a why and a purpose for the work that I was doing, versus in certain situations you can get in with the profession. It's, I've got to see 17, 20 people today. I've got to write notes
Mm-hmm.
on all of them. I'm going to see them for 10, maybe 15 minutes, and I'm going to pass them off to a tech. And it's just tough to one, develop a really close relationship with people at that point. And it's also
Mm-hmm.
very difficult to be kind of the best version of yourself in terms of giving quality care, just because you don't get to see like what you don't get to make sure all of the reps are right, or
Mm-hmm.
give the time to talk about the education and the natural progression that needs to happen. And so
Mm-hmm.
once Neeraj and I started the stride shop, and I was finally able to sit down and have these long drawn out conversations with patients and clients that were coming in, I was just like, man, I was missing a huge part of the picture. And it's like you said, very motivational now to develop these relationships and say, okay, here's your goal for sure, but this is our goal together in the whole thing. So absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
it has kept me in the profession being able to do that now.
Cool. That's awesome. I love it. Currently, RT and I are working with the same client, I with nutrition and RT with her training. And she did have an injury, and it was very interesting to kind of like hear back and forth, like what she was having, what RT was having her do, and just how she was responding. And I just loved hearing like his whole process of like how he was testing out when she was ready to run. And RT, like it just, like she was just so happy with the whole process, even though it was really stressful for her to have an injury. But yeah, it was neat how we were able to collaborate too on the nutrition and the training side. Just loved seeing that, secondhand, how you handled that whole situation. And she's, gotten healthier and kind of still working towards her goals. So love that so much.
She
Um,
she finished London yesterday.
Yay!
She got through it.
I know. I heard she had a great
Yeah,
time.
she got through
So,
it. Yeah, she it was one of those things where she, out of the clients that I work with, I feel like if anyone could pull off, what she was able to there, given her injury,
mm-hmm,
she was the one that I thought could probably do it. But her and I had just
mm-hmm,
a really honest conversation about, hey, again, you need to look at long-term goal here. And so, you know your body and you know what's right and what's wrong out there. And
mm-hmm,
if you get in that situation where she needed to make a tough decision and pull out of that race, I was like, make that decision. Like, don't second guess it.
mm-hmm,
Don't think twice about it. Get out of there, because she has too much potential
mm-hmm.
to do things for a really
Yeah.
long time. And she said just emotionally afterwards, she was in such a good place. Legs were tired, legs were destroyed, and the whole deal, but she wasn't worried about what you and I were kind of treating her for. And just makes me really happy that she was able to pull that off. It was great.
Yeah. That's awesome. Awesome. Love it. Yeah. Good job to her. Good job to you. I love it so much.
man.
If someone wants to stay injury free and actually keep progressing, what should they be doing consistently?
I mean, I think there are a couple easy, kind of low pieces of hanging fruit there. Warm up before your runs. Incorporate some form of strength training into your program, right? It's one of those deals where a lot of people come in and there's like, yeah, I would like to do some strength training stuff, but I don't want to bulk up and things like that. And that's just not how that works. Like you can go and lift weights and you're not automatically going to bulk up and lose time or anything like that. No, helps to make you more resilient for putting on more mileage and running at faster speeds and things like that. I would also say people need to be flexible with their schedules with this kind of stuff. For the most part, right? Like I'm not working with a lot of pro athletes where you need to hit this time at this time every single time. Um, we live life, right? We have kids, we have jobs, we have
Mm-hmm.
schedules that fluctuate on and off, and we get so caught up, I think, with um, no, I have to hit this run or I have to hit this mileage that maybe we do that on a day where our body needs to break and it needs a recovery and stuff like that. So I would say being willing to shift your schedule just a little bit to be able to fit in these things and not feel like you're really missing out if you, for whatever reason, don't hit every single run that you're going for.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah.
And I forgot, I did have one more question about the injury stuff.
Hmm.
So if someone is dealing with one of those common issues that we were talking about, like let's say shin pain, what are like one to two things they could start doing right away, or vice versa that they should stop doing?
So a big thing for me with any of that kind of stuff is like when these injuries start creeping their way into your day to day life and activity. That's where it becomes more of a problem, and I think you should seek somebody out to at least take a look at it. So if it's pain that's waking you up at night, kind of thing. If
Mm,
it's I have trouble getting in and out of my car, stepping out of my tub, kind of a thing, or
mm-hmm.
just walking, right? These are signs that okay, there may be something else that's going on that needs to be addressed, and I have a more of a protocol that I have for people who come in and say, "Hey, when can I start running?" And it's always like, "How long till I start running?" And for me, the answer to that isn't, "Well, how long till you get to start running?" It's, "Can you pass these certain criteria?" Right? Can you walk for 45 minutes without having increased pain? If you can't, then doing a bunch of single leg hops from one leg to the other, you don't have that tolerance to do that at the moment, right? Can you hop on one leg repeatedly in multiple directions without an increased pain? Again, if you're not able to do those things, then running at that point in time is probably not the right thing for you to be doing, right? And so that's where I say, the listening to your body and kind of using that straightforward, you need to be able to accomplish these things instead of just pushing through it, saying, "Oh, it's probably going to be okay," and then potentially turning something that could be a week off of running or a week of modified running and some exercises into, I'm going to push through this, and now I'm dealing with a lingering issue for 3 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the kind of things that can keep that missed training time or missed run time down to a minimum if you
Yeah,
hold on
totally.
to
That's really
those
helpful.
principles.
Yeah. And it sounds like you're kind of saying when it starts getting in the way of something other than running, then activities of daily living, that's when you really need to kind of pay attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And so during a run, right, is this an appropriate run that I should continue through, or do I need to stop at this point? We use
Mm-hmm.
what's called we call it a stoplight system. I don't know exactly where I got the stoplight system phrase from. I'd like to give that credit to somebody at this point, but maybe Chris Johnson or something like that. But it was basically on that 0 to 10 scale that you get asked anytime you go into a doctor's office, right? What's your pain? Zero to 10. Uh, it's very subjective. It's different for different people. But I would say if you're in that 0 to 3 range and you're pretty sure that what you're dealing with is a soft tissue, right? Muscle, tendon, those kind of things. 0 to 3 is a green light. You're okay. You're not going to do any more damage to that tissue. than that right there. Especially if you stop and that pain goes away immediately, right? Or that discomfort goes away immediately, right? You're within a green zone there. If you're in that, this is a 4 or 5 out of 10 pain, we call that a yellow light. And you need to ask yourself, okay, are my mechanics changing? Right? Am I trying to avoid putting more pressure on that right knee right now because it's getting irritated every time I put weight on it? And so the left's having to take on more of that brunt. And then when you stop, it's lingering. And especially if it lingers into the next day, if it's still giving you trouble that next day after a run, then you probably overdid either the duration or the intensity of that run the day before.
Mm-hmm.
6 and above is a hard stop. That tissue does not have the capacity to handle that workout on that day. And it doesn't mean that tomorrow it wouldn't have that capacity. Just at that day, at that time, it doesn't have it. And there's a lot of things that fluctuate where one's pain tolerance is, right? It's, time of day. What's the heat like outside? Are you stressed at work? Are you stressed at home? Are you fueled, right? Are you hydrated? All of these things, if you've not hit the mark, have you had poor sleep the past couple of nights? If you've not hit the mark on those things, that pain tolerance or threshold before you start to feel something goes down and down. And so one day I may be able to hit a certain pace for a certain distance, but I might go out 2 days later and just like, duh, no, I'm nowhere close. Um, so that's where I'd say that think about those things when you're deciding, okay, should I push through this or should I go and see someone about an issue?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's super helpful. Thank you.
For
So
sure.
we covered a ton of awesome information, and I feel like we could keep going. I could just pepper you with questions all day that I'm sure our listeners would love the answers to. But let's transition. Let's do a couple just fun questions about you. Talk to me a
Okay.
little bit about your own kind of high performance habits. I think of you as somebody, you're running a business, you've got life, you've got kids, you're also training. What are a
Yeah.
few non negotiables that keep you performing at a high level, just in life in general?
And life in general, sleep is number one for me.
Right.
And one, because it is so impacted right now with a young child,
Mm-hmm.
that the days of staying up late and watching TV shows, or I love to read, and so I just don't get to do quite as much of that anymore because I know that if I'm going to get out and consistently try and stay healthy and feel refreshed enough to get a workout in or a run in, like I need to have the sleep. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a non-negotiable for me. I also, to kind of what we were just talking about, I've been injured enough over over my life that I have a pretty good idea of okay, what's hurting, like what's discomfort versus what does an injury feel like. And if I start to feel like I'm approaching that injury zone at all, I'm quick to say, hey, I'm gonna transition to some other form of cross training and give some dedicated time to that issue, as opposed to, hey, I'm all right. We'll just go out and kind of
Yeah,
do it.
that's
So
great. Yeah.
past that, I'm very fortunate that I work in right this place here. I have a little bit of time, a break in between patients. I can get in, a workout or a run or do some mobility type stuff, and it's just kind of built into my day. And I'm very aware that I have the fortunate circumstance to be able to do that. It's just not that way for everybody. Um, I also I try not to take this. Like, for me, the running and the endurance type events that I do, uh, it is fun, and I try and keep it fun. And the second that it starts to feel like another job or work for me, I I lose interest pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So for me, it's I'm spending the time with my kids is number one, and then this shouldn't feel like, oh, this is really eating into my time with family and stuff like that, because it is
Mm-hmm.
a secondary for me.
Yeah, I love that. That's so helpful. It sounds like rest is a big theme for you, both physically and mentally, just like making sure you have that recovery you need in all
Yeah,
aspects. So, and that's so
absolutely.
important.
It is, and the rest and the recovery is where you make the gains, right?
Hmm.
It's a thing that I think about, and probably it took me a little while to make the realization of it. It's like, yeah, I feel like, well, I'd love to be training 5, 6, 7 days a week, right? I need to feel like, okay, I'm working the muscle, I'm working the muscle, I'm working the muscle. But if you keep stacking on that and you don't give it the time to recover and to actually build back stronger, then you have this diminishing return. And so you'll see an uptick for a little while, but then you'll start to plateau, and then you start to flirt with overtraining syndrome and stuff
Hmm.
like that. And you need the recovery. You should welcome that time of, I need to get a good 8 hours of sleep tonight, and I'm going to give my body a chance to just chill out for a day or two. Um,
Yeah.
that's when you're going to have the biggest return on the work that you put in. The entire concept of a taper that everybody does, like that's why you're doing it. You're deloading so that your body can make the building blocks that it needs to perform at a high level. So
Yeah, that's so good.
recover.
And I think the same theme, with nutrition is, and with nutrition and exercise, people want it to be really, really hard in order to feel like we're getting a result. And in some ways, it
Yeah,
is. Of course, you're training hard, you're putting in the work, but it's the same thing with nutrition. If you try too hard, meaning like usually what that means for people is cutting everything out or going to like a really big extreme, that's
yeah,
not going to work either because our bodies don't respond well to that. And then, the stress response, the cortisol, comes up, and, the weight loss stalls. And it's the same thing
yeah,
with, trying to build muscle, trying to build endurance and strength. The more we like over stress our bodies, the more we plateau. So,
yeah,
yeah, I love that. That's so helpful. So
100%.
inspirational.
And
Cool.
and again, here's where you and I overlap a lot, and that is like underfuel yourself, increase your cortisol level, and your pain threshold just goes from here to here really quickly. Um, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Such an
And then
important
you've
part of it.
got injuries and all the other things. So, well, yeah, that's
The
so
injuries
good.
happen, and yeah.
Cool. Well, RT, where can people find you if they want to work with you? Or and also, is there anything in particular that you want to tell listeners about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So the Stride Shop, we have a clinic here in New Orleans on Calhoun Street. Specifically, I'll say if you do try and get to us, put it in put it in Google Maps. For some reason, Apple keeps sending people over to over to St. Claude. This is an
Oh,
issue that I
no.
keep having. But we're in New Orleans next to Ted's Frost Top, and then we have a location in Baton Rouge as well. That's where Neuralize works out of. And we do rehab, we do some run coaching, some gait analysis. So you've ever been in that situation where like I've never had anyone look at my running form? Uh, I do a lot of it, and I really enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and looking forward to future interviews. And as always, keep up the amazing work. Thanks so much for taking the time.
All right, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Lisa.